So without further ado, I present to you the coolest map in existence. Connected Rivers. So PF2K, going on the hunt, and the woodline. Tim's, well, he's actually going to fish and go for the woodline. So this could work quite well as well. So I was just checking Discord, making sure it wasn't optimal messaging. Tim's is going to have to be careful. He could run out of wood here, food here. He could really probably use these guys over here for the time being. And he doesn't really need the stone this early. PF2K, this is very clean. He's not going to go for any fishing at this stage. He's getting hunting dogs. So this map does have plenty of hunts, plenty of gold. It's one of the... Man, I love it. I don't know why people knock it. I think the only thing that could make it better is if you had even more fish. Because you've generally got, what, 3 schools? 4 schools of fish. I mean, still, that's 4,000 food. That's pretty good. The downside is, you know, obviously you're missing out on a lot of starting resources, but at the same time, you've generally got quite a fair bit around your base. There's a hunt here. There's probably another berries or 2 nearby as well for Tim's. And yeah, guys, I haven't yet mentioned the special restriction inside the game. Oh, it's a little bit laggy. That's probably my doing. Oh, granted, it's 2 Australians and a player from Europe. Well, PF2K's living in Europe at the time being. So really, there's only 2 different nations. But bearing in mind, Tim's and I are on the opposite sides of Australia to one another. Quite literally. Yeah, it does seem to be a little bit laggy. Generally, if I connect to PF2K, it's quite smooth. So maybe it's me connected to Tim's. That's a problem. Tim's and PF2K. So Tim's is going fishing now. I think he had a little bit of a lull there with his villager production, because he's got the dock, the fishing boat already, but he's actually only even in Vilpop. Oh no, he's up now, but PF2K has had that age up queued. So P, for the time being, is going to go for the dock and then worry about getting the stone for the TC a little bit later. I quite like this style. He played very similarly to me against me on Watering Hole in the prior game. So yeah, there'll be 4 schools of fish there. Yeah, plenty of gold and food around our players. It's pretty cool how all the resources you'd normally have around the TC just spawn. Basically just around the TC on the lake anyway. Like you got the woodline, stone, the gold. And the cool thing is, you can push with warships really quickly on this, but it's very sheltered. You've got the town center defending, so it's a bit situational. I think Tim's, if he pushed PF2K, could actually lock down this and force PF2K to go over here for that gold. Whereas Tim's is a little bit lucky, his gold's at the back. Stone is well flanked by the trees as well. Like, even the berries, quite a fair bit set back. He hasn't got any resources that you can attack from outside the TC range there, so PF2K's actually got the rougher start in terms of the base layout, I think. In terms of how much it'll matter, I think that'll depend on how quickly our players try and go for warships, or if they even bother with them at all. Otherwise, just use this as an opportunity to get 2 or 3 fishing boats, maybe even a 4th, and then just otherwise play a fairly standard game. People are messaging me in Discord, but I'm kind of busy now. Tim's getting a trireme, so this is nice. He could sit just outside of TC range and zone the fish, because they're all on the front side of the TC. So he's been a little bit luckier in that regard. Just like with his land resources, then he can zone most of the hunt and that gold mine. PF2K at the moment hasn't gone for any gold at all, so He's gone for hunting dogs, he's gone for handsaw, and he's spent all of his gold. He has got a long ship, actually. And yeah, he has gathered a little bit of gold just to squeeze out the long ship, otherwise hasn't gathered any gold. But he's going to need to get gold now. He's going to put down the TC and just rely on good Vil micro. He's going to have to try and repair through this. He's very smart. He's got a villager actually garrisoned in it so that when the fight finishes he can just repair and let it go. He's eager to squeeze out this TC as quickly as possible now. This will cost him a little bit in terms of gathering because he's squeezing this out. For each villager you get diminishing returns on how much it actually speeds up the build time. But this way he gets that gold gathering going. He can start on some land production, maybe even get a second warship. Tim's has only got the one for the time being though, and for now is content just to add a little bit more fishing because he only ever went for one boat there. PF2K has gone up for 3, and so it's got a barracks. It's a little bit laggy though, so apologies to you guys tuning in and to our players. So PF2K is locked into only getting spearmen and hunting dogs. Throwing axemen and war dogs. Spearmen and hunting dogs. Jesus Christ. Tim's is getting spearmen though, so I don't know why this is. If he knows that that's all his opponent's going to get. Like, the high pacifists are surely just going to be a better unit. So PF2K's got the double long ship. Tim's has to retreat and either get a trireme or just add a lot of land. Military, he does already have that range. So if he just makes a good number of ranges, gets merely infantry armor, he should be very well protected. Unless PF2K can basically use long ships to lock down the map. And Tim's, all he really needs to do is just start attacking the sides of the map, and he'll be okay in that regard. Because these will be expensive, they'll take up a lot of population, but they are good insurance for PF2K because he does get to protect this, because again it's a little bit exposed. Tim's resources are quite sheltered in comparison. And I do like this TC placement though, it really protects a lot over here. The stone, the gold. This is a start on a normal map pretty much that's being protected by this. PF2K, very similar situation here. He's, it's right next to your town center, whichever side seems to have more resources. Probably where you want to put second TC. So in a way, this map, because it pushes out all the resources that are normally under the protection of your first town center, you then, you put your second town center down to protect them, so you're now kind of behind, because in a normal, in terms of like how much map control you're getting out of your base defensively, because in a normal game, these already being protected by your first town center, your second, well, you'd be putting it somewhere like over here, while already having all that secured. But obviously the plus is that you got 4,000 food that you can gather with fishing boats, which also just helps propel your economy a bit. And speaking of, PF2K's got a big work account lead already at 49 versus 37, and it's not as though Norse gets any real eco steroids over Greeks in that regard. There's no way to sort of really inflate your eco pop relative to your opponent early on. Indian and Roman get train time technologies, for instance. Babylonian can use getting on more than 2 or more than 3 gardens so that your train time is lower than 15 seconds. And ox carts They also show as population. Eco Pop take less time to train than regular villagers. Yeah, in terms of Greeks versus Norse, if you're down on Eco Pop, generally it means something's going wrong. Tim so far has actually, for the most part, got consistent queuing here. There's just little lulls in it. I think when he first hits military production is where he kind of underestimates how much he needs to gather of particular resources, particularly food. A lot of players have that trouble when they first start transitioning from PvE to PvP, or just start playing RTS games in general, I think. So this will be some nice harass here from Tim's. And it's not often you really see Saris in this matchup. It is a bit of a gambit. PF2K gonna have to retreat. He's lost 3 villages, soon a 4th. But he does have a comfortable eco lead. Only off the 4 fishing ships, but... well, the dogs are going to be hard for the Saris to kill. And nearly as quick as... actually, they're the same speed. But they don't have a lot of health, so... the wolf attacking them. You hit them quite hard. 10% of their health each time by the wolf. Really nice pop count here by PF2K. Going to age 3 now. Tim's potentially rushing his. I mean, Greeks, they're a really good civ for age 2 gameplay. They're one of the civs that if you can just focus on fighting at high population counts in age 2, it'll generally put you ahead. It's when you try and chase your opponent into age 3, I think is where a lot of people struggle. Just because, I mean, Prodromos are good at hitting and running, but they're just not as beefy as, say, Norse or Celt horsemen. And the real star of Greek pre-age 4 is really the Toxotes in all matchups. So going to age 3, you're getting champion upgrade for them, but a lot of other civs, in fact pretty much every other civ, you just get some, at least one unit that really gives them a nice power spike that isn't as susceptible to Toxotes as the previous unit that was doing the role that this new unit's now doing. Someone like Norse, obviously, you're swapping out throwing axemen with Hardjars, Berserkers for like melee infantry damage, or you go for bowmen instead if you want to replace them with like an anti-infantry unit from like an actual backline unit. This is a scary composition by PF2K. Tim's getting workshops, but I don't know, he's gonna have to try and get Ballista out if he wants to deal with this army, but he's gonna have to get age 4 beforehand. I don't know if PF2K is just gonna let him get there for free. The Warhounds, they got their, I think they got their, yeah, PS armor upgrade, so PF2K has got 24? Oh yeah, Dog Mastery's on the way. Throwing Axeman Champ. It's really nice. Ignore armor and attack rate. More outposts being constructed. 50k just sending dogs everywhere. Tim's is continuing to add a lot of anti-infantry, so this is a good comp to actually fight against this, but at the same time, there is an argument that if you make cavalry against throwing axemen, their base damage is just so rubbish against them compared to against ranged and infantry. So, like, Lancers and Decurions just destroy throwing axemen. It's not even funny how bad it is to make throwing axemen against a unit like the Lancer, or the Decurion, or the War Elephants. These guys are just so useless against them. And I know the Saris or Prodromos, the dogs are going to be able to tickle them, but dogs, they're handy for tanking and snaring. They're not really a damage dealing unit, so if Tim's basically gets 40 or 50, no, well, 50 or 60 Toxotes, considering how many throwing axemen there are, and then frontlines it with Prodromos or Saris, funnily enough, it's a really nice way to deal with the big throwing axeman ball. And then it kind of means that the Norse player then can't just rely on a small number of horsemen. They need to get a lot of horsemen, or if they get their own range to replace the throwing axemen, then you've already got the Saris there to deal with them. So PF2K pushing with some of the army, but there is a Sari raid going on. And the dogs, slowing them down, they'll get a few kills here. A lot of dogs are going to fall, but they are really cheap. PF2K getting more armory upgrades here. Tim's started adding some of his, he's actually got ranged, well, Pierce, sorry, age 3 damage, so that'll really come in handy. He's got double caravan production behind this, and he's on 65 villages to the 42 of Tim's. He's cleaned up that raid, but Tim's has staved him off for the time being, because right now Tim's is just making the direct counter units to Hypaspis, and like I said, even though, well, I mean, unlike what I was saying about getting a cavalry front line, he is still managing to hold just against the throwing axemen, because even though they counter both ranged and infantry, that counter bonus doesn't mean they truly counter them. Like Toxotes have got a better bonus against infantry and a higher base damage. Yes, the throwing axemen do have more health, but you know, the base damage is lower. The bonus isn't as good. The bonus against infantry looks really good, but their base damage is that bad that other infantry do eventually outclass them. So compositionally, this is a really good comp to deal with what PF2K's got. Rams in the mix too. I mean, these guys will be able to tank in similar fashion to the cavalry. High health pool unit, not countered by the throwing axemen. Tims can survive till age 4 and get Hippocons. That's where this composition for PF2K just gets, you know, to the point where even with eco lead, you just can't close out the game because you can never fight cost effectively enough. So PF2K, he's been a bit slow with maxing out his eco, and I think he's comfortable that he's always had this Vil lead. You can tell by the score he's in a better shape in that regard. And he's needed to spend on food for this military. The dogs are really cost inefficient. Like, they're great if you're well ahead, or if you can use them in small numbers to snipe cavalry in very small numbers. This is an interesting idea by PF2K. I understand why he's doing this as well, because if he finishes these towers, he can just creep towards Tim's base, and Tims will have like no map control, and it keeps the well, I mean, it means there's a point to the Rams, keeps them a little bit busy. So the throwing axemen do have the advantage of the Toxotes lacking an armor upgrade here, and the dogs are tanking a few shots. PF2K did go into that with a slightly bigger army as well. PF2K getting the upgrade to produce, well, have quicker build time with his infantry. Tim's has still got a bit in the bank here. I think his problem was he just couldn't really match the production. Oh no, guard tower range damage. Sorry. But should be able to take out this town center here. Tim's plenty in the bank, but oh, he does have a fair bit of production, but he needs to be able to finish off all these buildings. Could sneak in a Prodromo's raid somewhere. It could also be a big benefit for him. So Tim's is trying to remass an army, but PF2K is just in great shape here. So he's managed to fight straight into the counter with the throwing axeman. But Tim's didn't have full upgrades. Now he does, but he just doesn't have the numbers to back it up at this point. I think just the experience and the better economy there for PF2K. There were some holes in Tim's early villager production, or I think he got housed a couple of times maybe. Because he did kill a number of PF2K's villagers up there at the start. But by that point PF2K had a pretty big lead on eco. Man, these guys hit like wet noodle against buildings. For the forward fortress and the golden age, I think Tim's will be done for here. Yeah, there's not any more production he can really squeeze out. He's down to his last couple of barracks. Tim's is still trying to produce stuff, but he's got plenty in the bank, but yeah, there's just nothing left to keep building from. The fortresses will be done shortly, and I think it'll all be over. Okay, walling himself in. Trying to do it, Tim's, but oh, here we go. He's queuing up more tox and more hypers. He's trying to make it work with everything he's got, but I think he's done for here. He'll kill another couple of war dogs. Still that triple Toxotes production, but when there's 72 throwing axemen, you just don't have the health there to compete with that, or the damage. Yeah, sorry Tims. Just don't want all the guys falling asleep while every last building gets taken out.